Hello and welcome back to what should be a series called If I Had to See It, You Have to See It. My name is Sybil, I'll be your host today, and by your host I mean I'm just a person that has a camera that's sitting on my bed. We have some coffee and an emo mug and we're ready to get going. An emo mug? It's literally just a black mug. If I seem tired today, it's because I am. I'm not gonna lie, we truly have some bangers from Not How Girls Work Today, which is the Reddit that all of these are pulled from. So buckle up, Buttercup. Who the f says that? This is called art. This is the legacy and heritage of the West. This is what men of the West fight, sacrifice, and die for. This is victory. I moved you over here, don't panic if it looks different. Is there an example of a female sculptor who committed herself to the same level of detail that a male does with a woman? None that come to mind. And that sculpture is an act of worship before heaven and it shows. The sculptor is a Chinese woman, you dork-ass losers. And then it's a photo of literally the woman who sculpted this, because they're like trying to be like, only a man can do this. Only a man has this eye of detail. Only a man would work this hard. And then also Ivan said the legacy and heritage of the West, which just is another layer to this, because not only is it misogynistic, there's a little hint of racism, and then it turns out the person who did the sculpture is a Chinese woman. It's almost like people are capable, and we should stop pretending people aren't based on their culture or their gender. Also, this is one of those situations where it's just like so confidently wrong. Why didn't you stop to think about Googling that image? Like, reverse Google image search exists. You could have gotten the whole history of that sculpture. You could have known who did it. You could have known why she did it. Like, you would have been able to see everything with a simple search. But people like this don't like to research. They just want to post something, say what they think it is, and then have a bunch of like incels be like, yes, yes, yes. Like, that's the energy. Why is this guy simping for a post-wall woman? And then it's Keanu Reeves and his partner. Now, something to mention about this photo, the way that men are treated as if they age like fine wine and women are thought to like age like spoiled milk. They're like, why is Keanu Reeves with this old lady? Keanu Reeves is 59 and his partner, that woman, is 50. You're mad because an older man is in an age-appropriate relationship? What? And if you're curious what a post-wall woman means, it's like a woman who has passed like her fertility wall is what they're trying to like refer to here. Once again, Keanu Reeves is 59, my guy. Why are you worried about him having children? That's another thing about this all, right? He's not you. He's literally a man who fell in love and is in a happy relationship, and you're sitting here like, that's a post-wall woman. That 59-year-old man should be with a 22-year-old. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm, for one, happy that a man in Hollywood is dating somebody in his age range. I think that's excellent. I think more men in Hollywood should do that. Also, have you ever thought that maybe 59-year-old Keanu Reeves does not want to impregnate her? Old ugly women keep getting triggered and keep collecting cats. Your time is done after 25. I can't help what I like. There has to be some sort of attraction, 18 through 25. And showing a woman with like vodka, her tits out, mascara running down her face, clearly partying. When women turn down 95% of men because they're ugly. By the way, that was a self-diss on your own gender. You're the one who just called 95% of men ugly. Why would you do that? When women turn down 95% of men because they're ugly? Like, homie, you just said that. You just did that to yourself. Do I agree with that statement? As a lesbian, I don't even agree with that statement. I think there's a lot of attractive men out there. Why are you doing a meme that shits on men and women? And then 25 plus, somehow her boobs have sagged immensely in a singular year, and she's gained glasses and a bald spot. It's all very confusing, and she has cats. Pedo groomer rapist. When men turn down 50% of women because they're old and ugly. Well, actually, he said old and then ugly here, insinuating that every older woman past the age of 25 is ugly, which is just simply not true. You're gonna really look at them and be like, that's ugly because they are 25 years old in one day. What's wild to me is I see so many like alpha men TikToks where they're like, you shouldn't settle down until like you're like way older and then get yourself like a young baddie. Like in one of the recent videos we did, there was a man that was like, I would say don't even look to settle down until you're 28, and 28's still pretty young. Yet you're angry that women 18 to 25 are partying and trying to live their youth and figure out what they want. Seems like a weird double standard, which is often found in all of these. Also, the caption here doesn't make sense. Pedo groomer rapist. Are you talking about the fact that women 25 plus are calling out older men that are also like in their like 25 plus 30s hitting on like 18-year-olds, because yeah, that's fucking weird. If you're 35 and you are attracted to an 18-year-old just because she's legal, that's fucking weird. Like, why? I feel like that's one of those statements that is not that wild to make. If you're literally sitting here waiting for somebody just to hit legal age, that's weird. I'm assuming that's what they're talking about here. Otherwise, I have literally no clue. Also, turning 25 plus does not change every single part of your features like that. You don't suddenly get glasses and have boobs down to here. Realistically, just based on this art, that woman, that 18 to 25, her boobs are relatively small, so hitting that 25, like, that wouldn't even happen. Second of all, what? AOC is now posting what many would call basic bitch selfies. Is this the precursor to OnlyFans, or just a moment of leisure? And it's just her going to yoga. What? This one's actually baffling me. I don't even know what to say. She's literally, how does this go to OnlyFans? She's dressed completely. Like, I would say that this is still a pretty modest outfit. Like, she has this tiny sliver showing, but she has like a long sleeve full button up covering everything else. She's just smiling and looking down at the camera. I truly cannot even see how your mind went to OnlyFans. Which there is a comment on here that I want to highlight that says, the fact that her selfie made him think OnlyFans says more about him than it does her. Seriously, a tiny sliver of belly must be hardcore porn. It's the elbows you see, very salacious. That's like the energy this gives. It's like, how did your brain even jump there? And the answer is like outrage farming, right? Like, this guy does not like AOC, so therefore he thinks if I can go to the next wildest jump and outrage farm and be like, look at this basic bitch selfie, she's in our political world and she's doing this. This is basically OnlyFans. What about the children? Like, that kind of vibe. Then he can kind of outrage farm off of just like this tiny piece of social media of her just living her life because she's just a person going to yoga. You know, there's so many of these like people that'll be like, women need to hit the gym. Women are worthless if they're not in the gym and taking care of their bodies. But then these same people turn around and they're like, oh my God, look at her posting a photo of her going to yoga. Like, what? So this first meme I think is just like a stupid, silly meme. I think it's dumb, but it's the comments that we're gonna get into on this one. Levels of pain, slap, childbirth, kicked in balls. Hi everyone, let's all turn our cameras on. As in, like, you know, if you're in a class or a meeting and you're zooming. Obviously it's insinuating that getting kicked in balls is worse than childbirth, which is just not accurate. But, you know, just a stupid, silly little meme about school and meetings and stuff like that. Now, here are some comments on that. Not the men who downvoted you, embarrassing. Being kicked in the balls is more painful than childbirth. It's just that childbirth lasts longer. It's like trying to argue that having a mild headache for a year is more painful than breaking your leg. If you think being pregnant and the act of childbirth is the equivalent to a mild headache, that shows me you've done zero research ever on the subject, and you should actually shut your mouth when it comes to this until you've done a little bit. Now, pregnancy is different for everyone, obviously, but there are women who are throwing up constantly. There are women who get insanely terrible body aches and cramps that last all fucking day. There's the literal act of childbirth. And like, there's so many other physical things. I'll put some stuff on the screen while I'm talking because I'm somebody who actually does the research and wants to provide you with sources and things to read instead of talking out of my ass. But that doesn't even begin to cover like the mental turmoil that somebody is also in when they're pregnant. Like, there's just so many factors. And the fact that you said it's a mild headache, delusional. A little tap? No. But a full force, lift your feet off the ground kick? Yeah. And women get painkillers and whatnot when they give birth. All we get is laughed at. This is such a woe is me piss baby comment. I'm gonna be so real. I mean, I just threw up all those other things on the screen, so we're not gonna go over the pain levels again. But this comment just actually is giving, and women get painkillers and whatnot, and all we get is laughed at. Many women have kids again after the experience. Has a man ever asked to be kicked in the balls again? Now, this one, there's a lot to be said, but I think this person's comment on that comment really sums it up. Has a man ever been asked to be kicked in the balls again? Someone introduced this guy to Jackass and YouTube. Has a man ever been asked to be kicked in the balls again? This makes as much logical sense as saying paper cuts hurt more than childbirth since no one's asking for one. Also very true. This person says, and the kink community, LMAO. Yup, the amount of men who are intrigued and then want me to kick them in the balls when they find out I do ball busting is mystifying to me. All those examples just immediately obviously topple Prada Zombies comment. But the one I personally really like is the the paper cut comment. Like, yeah, there's a very different thing. Getting kicked in the balls, unless you're like into it, there's no reward there. You're not getting anything you want out of that. Childbirth, sure, you're going through continuous intense pain in the actual act itself, but there's an end goal. There's like a product being produced. Like, they're not just doing it because they want to go through that pain. They're doing it because there's a reward. The child itself is what they want out of the situation. My dad used to get so mad every time my mom would come home with a new coffee mug. She likes to collect them. And her new boyfriend literally built her a wall to display her collection. This is why we don't settle for loser boys, ladies. And it's a wholesome picture of this guy who built this shelf and then put all her mugs on display. To most of us, we'd probably be like, oh, that's really sweet. Not to some of these people. This person had a lot to say. It always baffles me when it's something small like that and then you just see these paragraphs where somebody thinks they sound intelligent but they don't. That post is certainly an example of what is wrong with the world we live in. I'm not going to go into how the relationship was and who was more likely to be a bad person, since that is a little more than an assumption. Instead, I'm going to critique how dumb this hobby is. Oh yeah, you totally need coffee cups. Collecting stamps, Pokemon cards, or coffee cups serves absolutely zero practical uses. You can't do nothing with that amount of coffee cups. Hell, you probably won't drink out of them anyway. The fact that she needs to do something that useless and dumb to keep herself entertained is actually just kind of sad. Why not derive your happiness from something that actually has a use? Like, for example, working out, meditating, praying. All of these can help your mental or physical health and gives you a goal to strive towards. I love how they throw in praying. It feels like it's always these like religious people who are the biggest dicks. And I'm not saying like all religious people. I'm saying when we read comments like this, it always is some motherfucker with John Leviticus 69 in their bio being like, why don't you just pray about it? First of all, you have no idea how this affects her mental health. When you talk about like collections and hobbies and stuff like that, these are things that people do derive happiness from. And if your argument is all of these can either help your mental or physical health, like you're sitting here being like, these can help your mental health, praying can help your mental health, her collecting her mugs can help her mental health. It's almost like people can derive happiness from what they find that they can derive happiness from. Not everybody wants to pray. Like, that's the thing with a lot of these, is they don't work for everyone. Everybody gets their happiness and derives their happiness from something else. And to call her collecting mugs useless when it is something that does exactly what you just said, which is improve your mental health, which I assume if she collects them and it gives her joy, it improves her mental health. Wow. That's like exactly what you just said, but you just had different versions. Praying is not for everyone. Not everybody is religious. Not everybody derives happiness from some kind of deity. There are a lot of people in this world that would turn around and say praying is useless. Same with like meditating. There's a lot of people who don't see a point in sitting there, and I'm somebody who occasionally does like to meditate, but there are a lot of people who will be like, what's the point of just sitting there and breathing and acting like you're in tune with your body when like maybe they don't feel like that works for them, that doesn't help them. It's a case-to-case basis kind of thing. Then of course we have the basic misogynistic, why would she want something else to dust? You do realize your video game console collects dust. If you have any physical cases, they collect dust. You realize your PC collects dust. I have one, I have to dust it. Any hobby that includes a physical object is gonna collect dust. That's just how the world works. You know, have you washed the Cheeto dust off of your controller lately? That's something that you probably have to take care of a bunch. I mean, you probably don't clean it off though, let's be so real. Your mom has a problem and now the house has an eyesore. Your dad was right, collecting mugs to look at rather than use is stupid. One, it didn't say she never uses them. It could literally be the thing where she's like, I'm gonna use this one today. Also, collecting mugs is like not that wild. I feel like quite a few people do that, like whether you go on vacation somewhere and you're like, oh, a mug for memorabilia. Like some people will get like the crushed pennies, some people will get magnets, some people will get stickers, this woman gets mug. Like what, that doesn't seem that wild to me. It definitely doesn't seem wild enough to cause this much upset. Ain't no way she called her father, the man who raised her, a looser boy. Listen, had she called him a looser boy, I would have also been concerned, but that is not what she said. Also, it's pretty presumptuous to say the man that raised her. Well, he's the man who raised her. You have no idea what the dynamic of that relationship was. There's probably much deeper reasons that she's calling him a loser man, and him not supporting her mother in like one of her hobbies is just one of those examples. Sometimes people just read something like this and I don't understand how they go so like tunnel vision and be like, this is clearly the only example and the only thing that she is talking about. Like, no, there's probably a lot more that she doesn't have to tell you. Like, to me, out of this post, what I got was, this man treats my mom very well. There is love after bad relationships. Like, that's what I got out of that post, because I think that you're supposed to understand that there's a deeper meaning behind it. Like, if anything, I think that's uplifting to be like, hey, no matter what you've been through, no matter how you felt treated in the past, you can still find somebody for you. And I think when she says don't settle for loser boys, she's insinuating that there's more to the story. And I know we could sit here and be like, well, what about the dad's side? Okay, sure, we could do that. We could totally think that. But in this post alone, she's just showing how a man is doing something for her mother that her father would never. Like, that's the point of this post. And if you want to call them up and do a deep dive on that relationship and get a hold of the dad and find out everything, hey, don't do that. That's called stalking. I was gonna be like, go do it, but don't actually do that. I am gonna cut this here though. Some of these were just so ridiculous today, but that's kind of what makes the beauty of this, huh? Isn't it? Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you liked the video, please like it. It really helps the algorithm and it gives me a chance to make more videos. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. My other socials will be in the description. I will see you guys next time. Bye.